Okay, let's figure this out in the key of A minor. Now, one thing you'll notice is that when we're talking about major keys, we tend to jump right to C major because it's got no accidentals. It's kind of the easiest one to wrap our head around because we don't have to worry about any accidentals or a key signature. When we're in minor keys, the same thing kind of applies to A minor because if you remember what we just learned in the previous section, A minor also doesn't have any accidentals or any key signature. So it's kind of the easiest to just understand without dealing with any accidentals. So that tends to be our go-to to explain things. So you'll see me working in A minor a little bit here. So let's draw an A minor scale. Okay, there is A minor. Now, let's figure out our diatonic chord progression. So let's walk through it the long way just to prove the point that it works the same. The concept is still exactly the same. I've got an A, I'm going to skip B, go to C. I'm going to skip F, and I'm going to go to E. And I'm going to do that all the way up, every other note. Just going to kind of do it fast forward to save us some time. Oops. Okay, there we go. Goes up pretty high. Cool. So let's have a look at what we ended up with by doing this, because that's really what the diatonic chord progression is. It's figuring out what chords these are, what major and minor chords they are. Now, remember how we learn if the chord is major or minor. We did this in the last class. I don't think we've talked about it in this class yet. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but just as a quick refresher, we can count half steps to get to our third. And remember, the third, the middle note, is what determines if it's a major or a minor chord. All of the fifths, which are the outside notes, are going to be perfect fifths, except for the one that is a diminished, which we'll get to in just a second. So let's figure out our pattern. So our one chord is a minor chord, right? That shouldn't be too surprising. We're in the key of A minor, so the chord built on A is going to be minor. So here we go, A minor. Now, the 2 chord, if you remember in a major key, the 7th chord is what gave us our diminished chord, and that was the ugly one, the one we kind of avoid. In a minor key, it's the 2 chord. This is our diminished chord. Kind of has that funky sound to it. So the 2 chord is diminished in minor. It's kind of weird, but 2 chord is diminished in minor. The 3 chord is a major. So far we have minor, diminished, major. The 4 chord is minor. The 5 chord is minor. The 6 chord is major. The 7th chord is major. And then we're back to the 1 chord up an octave, which is minor.